Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat Channel. My name is Tim Hayden, and I'll be your host. We have a super show for you today. Our guest is the multi-talented Eric Nelsen. Eric is an Emmy and Tony Award-winning American actor and producer. On stage, he portrayed Brett Sampson in the original Broadway production of 13, and he starred in The Good Mother. He's also appeared in over 30 television series like All My Children, Blacklist, 1883, and more. He's probably best known as Daniel Garrett, the award-winning show The Bay. There might be spoilers for seasons 1 through 6, just so you know. Feel free to ask questions along the way. Please welcome Eric to the show. Hi, Eric.
Hey guys, happy to be here. How you doing, Tim?
All right, how about you?
Good, man. Good. Feeling good. We've got some cool episodes out now for the fans and a whole new season to look forward to.
I am a diehard Bay fan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been one of those shows, as you've seen, it's just grown so much over the years, and to see where it's gotten to today, and the fan base has just also grown and grown. It's been an incredible journey, and we're excited to see where it goes next.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I can't wait till 2 o'clock today to watch the second episode of season 7.
Yes.
So, what was it like for you growing up in Florida?
Florida was a pretty simple life. Had a great family, a bunch of relatives down there, so we had a big group of us. But it was pretty simple. I mean, I played sports growing up, and I also was got into dancing and acting and singing, living in Florida as well. And then my whole life turned upside down when we moved from Florida to New York City when I was 13 years old. So going from Florida to New York, as you could imagine, was a pretty drastic transition, but the most fun thing I've ever done. I still can't even believe that I had the opportunity to go to New York in the first place, because none of my parents or grandparents or anyone was in the entertainment industry. So our generation, my brother and I have a couple cousins that are in it. We're kind of the first in our family lineage to do what we do. So it was an unexpected but incredible journey.
So, speaking of your brother, he's an actor as well. So, are y'all the only two in the immediate family?
In the immediate family, yes. I have a first cousin who's a Broadway actress, named Tess Soltow. She was Glinda in Wicked and Wednesday Addams and The Addams Family, and has a new um, show coming up this spring on Broadway, which has got all the music to Britney Spears behind it. So that'll be fun.
Oh, well, that sounds awesome.
Hmm.
So, when did you know acting was the path you wanted?
Um, so when I was 13 and got to move to Manhattan, it was really to let my younger brother play Chip in Beauty and the Beast on Broadway, which he booked at one of my dance competitions in South Florida. And he got scouted and he got the job. And that's when my whole life changed. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, we can actually do this in real life and not just go to New York as tourists to watch shows. Like, we can be in them. And that's when I realized, okay, this is what I want to do. It At that age, I didn't put it together that it was, going to be a career path and, my way to make money my whole life. For me, it was just the most fun thing I could ever imagine doing, and having the opportunities to do it was just, it was like mind blowing for me. I never thought, those were dreams I never thought would become possible. And it was just like the snowball effect, because once we got there, my brother and I, just didn't stop working and started booking shows right away. In fact, my first TV show ever was in Manhattan, and it was on Guiding Light, way back when. And yeah, so it was just, God bless my mom for allowing us to go up there and for supporting our dreams. And here we are all these years later, still doing it.
Yes, if my memory serves me correctly, you played Justin Marler.
Kevin Marlowe.
Kevin,
Yep,
one of the
yep.
twins.
One of the twins, exactly. Ross
Uh,
Marler's son.
yes, Jerry Verdor and Liz Kiefer. Liz was on several weeks ago. She's great. She
Oh,
is.
nice.
So after that, she went on to your next soap was All My Children, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
You played an iconic role there, Adam Chandler Jr.
Yes, it was interesting because the show had obviously been on ABC forever, and then it was taken off the air, and then a new company bought the rights to the show and put it up on this platform that nobody at the time had heard of called Hulu, which we got one of the kind of pioneering series that Hulu launched, and at the time, I can't tell you how many people were like, "Oh, no one's going to watch TV like this. This is not going to be a hit. They're swinging for the fences here. This Hulu, whatever, this is never going to last." And of course, now it's the leading, Netflix, Hulu, streaming is the only way to go, it seems. And so it was cool to kind of be on the precipice of that and to experience it at its first stages before it became what it is today.
And I have to say, I'm very disappointed because I didn't know about it at the time because I lived with my mother at the time to take care of her. She was a hardcore cable user, so I didn't know about the platforms that well. Now you can't even find them. I've seen it on several people's resumes that they were on it. And I'm like, I can't find it.
Oh man, they don't have them out there anywhere?
No. I mean, I think in YouTube might have some clips, but no, I've been searching for days trying to find it.
Oh, that's a shame. It was a lot of fun. We got to shoot it in these great sound stages in Connecticut, actually, and they put a lot of heart and soul into it, and it was the same All My Children that everybody knew, but they brought new elements to it. They obviously aged my character up, and they wanted to kind of bring in a younger audience into the fan base, kind of millennial age group and such, and so it was fun. And coming onto an iconic series like that, and working with I got to work with David Canary before he passed, and all the legends. It was like joining into this big great family, and they just kind of opened arms and brought me right in. So it was perfect.
And you hit the nail on the head. David Canary is by far one of the absolute best actors ever.
Oh, I know. It was
especially in All My Children, playing two roles. I mean, growing up, I thought they were two different people. Really
right? Did. Right. It's kind of got the Pete Garrett thing going on right now in the Bay's kind of got a similar storyline.
Yes, it does. We're going to get to the Bay here in a little bit. I've got lots of questions about that one. Do you remember your first day on All My Children? I mean, it had to be.
I do. I was like a kid in a candy shop. My eyes were wide and I didn't know what to expect. I was nervous, but I remember one of the first people that really, really changed I was so nervous, and it was like the first day of school jitters. And I remember Katie McLean came up to me and she wrapped her arms around me, gave me the biggest hug, and just sat and talked to me calmly, like for like 30 minutes. It felt like 5 hours, but we had a nice talk, and she just walked me through everything. And she just really, really welcomed me in the best way I could imagine, and kind of was giving me little tips and insights and little secrets to filming this way. And, just shining light a little bit on, the decades that she's had in the industry. So I'll always be grateful to Katie for that moment. And we ended up having a extremely close friendship, and I love her to death, and I always will.
She's supposed to be coming on my show here in a little here after the new year.
Good. Well, you tell her we got to talk, and I miss her.
I will. She's been busy directing a play right now, her own play actually.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, it's on. I'm not sure it's playing, but I know she's been really busy with that.
Amazing.
And you named two of my favorite soaps, which are getting like on my children. They're probably my two tops. I can't imagine that. I mean, did you watch either All My Children before you went on?
So I have, of course, you see it running on TV all day in the background at the gym and other places. So I knew the iconicness of the show and had always, heard about it. But my mom's sister, my aunt, who's like a second mother to me, she was such a die-hard All My Children fan. I'm not even kidding you. Like, she scheduled her whole life off of making the episodes of this and never missed a single episode. And so I remember when I got the opportunity to do audition, my character was under a fake name. It wasn't AJ Chandler. It was something else, to not give it away. and she's just racking her brain. She's like, I can't think what storyline this would be in. And, I don't know this character name. And finally I get the job and I call her and I said, oh, it was actually a fake character. Do you know the Chandler family? And she like fell out of her chair. I kid you not. She fell out of her chair. She's like, you're Chandler? I was like, yeah, I'm going to be AJ Chandler. She's like, and then she gave me like the whole background of the story and the lineage of the family. And so that was a cool moment. And I still think no matter what I've done in my entire career, that'll probably be the coolest thing I've done to her.
Well, you've had three. You only had three top names: you Cortland, Chandler, and Kane.
That's right. That's right.
All the rest were, I just can't imagine. Well, later on in 2020, you landed the role of 1883 as Enos.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty incredible. Because I got to film most of that show in my wife's hometown of Fort Worth, Texas. So I had a huge extended family in Fort Worth. And my wife and I had actually bought a house when the pandemic hit LA. We got out of LA and moved to Fort Worth because we had just had our first child, our daughter, and we wanted to kind of be out of the LA craziness and be around family. And then the industry, of course, closed down for about a year. When it reopened, I got the audition for 1883. I did not tell the industry that I had left LA because I didn't want them to think like, we didn't know what was going to happen after the pandemic was over. And so I didn't want them to think I like gave up on the industry or like wasn't available. So everybody thought I was still in LA, casting directors and such. And so I got the audition, ended up getting the part. I got a call from Taylor Sheridan, who created the series, creator of Yellowstone and so many other wonderful projects. And he said, I had a little birdie told me you had moved to Texas. Is that true? Because the casting was out of LA. I sent in tapes. And I was like, yes, but I can be in LA tomorrow if you need me to be. We've got a little condo out there we can go back to. He's like, no, we're shooting this in Texas. He's like, where's your house? And I was like, Fort Worth. He like paused for a second. He's like, where exactly in Fort Worth are you located? And I told him, and he's like, you're going to be 20 minutes from where we're going to be filming most of your stuff.
Oh,
And
wow.
I fell out of my chair. It was just one of those God sent moments, right place, right time, the whole shebang. So I got to sleep in my own bed in Texas for almost the entire shoot, which was about 6 months.
I was going to say it was on location for everybody else. It was home for you.
Yeah, everybody hated me. They went to their hotels and I went home. They were very jealous.
How did you prepare for that role? I mean, it had to be exhausting because you rode horses. You actually wrangled the cattle. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of training. We went through a rigorous cowboy camp training that Taylor Sheridan put us through. So I had about 3 weeks of riding all day long, roping cattle, shooting guns, everything we were going to have to do on the series. We did day in and day out for weeks before filming. So by the time cameras were rolling, as you saw on the show, I'm 99% on a horse. Once the cameras were rolling after all the training, the horse was the least of my worries. I could be with my partner. I could be in the moment. I wasn't stressed about how to get the horse to do what I wanted it to do. So that all became second nature, which was really cool and fun for us all to learn. And then just, prepping for a Western period piece, basically watched every famous Western movie and show I could get my hands on, from Lonesome Dove to Red River to you name it. And just immersed myself in the world, in the culture. And, it paid off, and it was just such a fun process from beginning to end.
Well, I mean, you pulled it off so perfectly. I mean, you looked the role, you sounded the role, you were the role. I mean, I can't imagine how sore you were learning to ride those horses.
Oh, and those saddles are period 1800 saddles. And so it's basically like riding on a plank of wood. So yeah, there was lots of saddle sores and bruises and cuts and blood and sweat and tears and the whole thing. But the adrenaline's going so much when you're doing it that you don't even think about it till it's all over. And then you can't walk for, 2 weeks, but in the moment it's great. You don't even,
right. Did y'all shoot during the summer or cooler months?
So we started in the dead of summer, and on the show you can see we are in layers on layers on layers of clothes. So it was I think I shed 15 pounds throughout the beginning of the process to the end, just in water weight and sweat from being on set. And I'm already like a small guy, so you can imagine like I was too small by the time we got done filming, but we couldn't help it. We were sweating so much. And then we shot through the winter. And of course, when it was nice and warm and hot in the summer, would have been the perfect time to do all the river crossing scenes. But for some reason in the shooting schedule, we didn't do those until the winter. So now we're freezing cold, crossing these rivers on horseback, pushing these cattle where, water splashing. And so now we're shivering. And so it was just one drastic climate change to the next. But again, it did kind of lend itself to the performance, because that's what these characters were going through. And, that's how it was on the trail. And so a lot of the times it felt like we weren't acting. We were just living in the moment, which is unique and sometimes rare on set. A lot of times when you're on a big studio lot, it just, it feels very, cookie cutter. You're same place every day doing the same thing. And here we were out in the wilderness, we were battling weather and animals and different climates. And so it made it very exciting, and maybe one of the most fun things I've ever gotten to work on.
Well, the river scene you brought up, that was a very big deal part of the show. I mean, poor Faith. I mean, if it was cold, like you said, she was submerged in that water.
I know.
Wow.
Lots
What
of
was that
blankets.
like? What was that like working with such incredible actors? I mean, Sam Elliott, come on. Did you get to see Tom Hanks? He was in it. I mean,
I did. I got to be there that day. Wasn't in the scene he shot, but I went to set that day and got to hang out with him and get to know him. He's been best friends with Tim McGraw for like 25 years. And so Tim called him up and was like, "Hey man, I'm doing this really cool show. Never asked you to be a part of anything I've done before, but I feel like this might be a cool opportunity to see if you'd want to get involved." And he didn't even blink an eye. He said, "Absolutely. Just say when and where." And, he was just a small cameo, but he gave his heart and soul to the performance. And he was just so gracious on set, and got to take pictures with him and chat it up with him. And, when you're just hanging out with the people that you've idolized like your whole life, it doesn't feel real. And then you get to know them on a personal level, and then all of a sudden it feels real. And it's like this weird switch in transition. You don't get used to it, because even on the last day of shooting, walking up and seeing my name on my cast chair next to Sam Elliott, it's like it never got old. It was always a pinch me moment. But you start to see and get to know who they are underneath all the roles that you might know them for. And it's a pretty unique and special, kind of experience, getting to see who they actually are and who you hope that maybe they would be. And they all lived up to the expectations, by the way.
see, that's kind of what it's like for me. I'm a fan of all the celebrities I have on, yourself included. So I can't overthink it before, because I'll fan out during the show. But then after the show, I'm like, oh my God, I just talked to Dan, the character. I mean, got to, then it sets in.
Oh, that's so cool. I get it. I completely can relate.
And Rita Wilson, I know you said they were friends. The couples were friends. I believe right before y'all started shooting that they went to Australia to be with Tim and Faith, and they ended up getting stranded because of COVID.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That could have been. I didn't hear the story, or maybe I did, but I forgot it. But I do know the families are close. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes. Yeah, because they were like, their extended stay, when their social media, they're like talking about staying with their friends, and that was really cool. I mean, you wouldn't think Tom Hanks, Tim McGraw. I mean,
I know, and they always kind of kept their friendship private. It was never really publicly known, and so this kind of was a very big and public way to finally come out as friends.
Well, I can say 1883 was phenomenal. My dad's fixing to be 83. we've about got him convinced to watch it now. What did it is we were talking him into watching Yellowstone, and that's a phenomenal show, but the language got him.
Ah,
And I'm like, 1883, it has a few, but it's nothing like Yellowstone. So we're
right.
about got him convinced to watch it because it's such a phenomenal show. And now 1923 just started Sunday.
Yep. Yeah. Got a whole new
And,
slew of episodes coming.
and you do know I've been doing the math in my head. They could actually have put you in the show and you would have been aged correctly. Because it's only like a 40-year difference.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously would have had to have another actor who was much older playing the part, but I guess in theory, had the bandit not had his way, could have been there.
Because you didn't get killed off in 1883 or anything. They left that all open. I did hear. I'm sorry. I can't think of the African American gentleman's name that was your partner, but I heard they were going to possibly do a show about his prequel about him.
So they're doing a series called Bass Reeves about the famous black cowboy back in the day, and that's being played by David Oyelowo. I always say his last name wrong. Oyelowo, I think is how you say it. He played Martin Luther King in MLK. Phenomenal actor, and there hasn't been anything public about LaMonica's character from 1883 transitioning over to that show, but it would make sense, and I really hope he does because that would just be so cool. And I hope it goes back a little in time, and maybe Ennis somehow pops up.
I think Ennis should. I could. It was the all the roles you played are so lovable. I mean, Daniel from the Bay, he's one of everybody's favorite characters. Enos, and what there again, one of everybody's favorite characters. He didn't talk about the daughter like the other one did. He didn't have thought, he was more of a wholesome character. And I love that.
Thank you. As my grandma would say, oh, good. It's another project I can talk about at the club. I want to tell all my friends about it because if I do, I've done some, dark stuff in between too, and on different shows and stuff. And she doesn't like that. She likes to be able to brag about it to her friends and not have to worry about language and all this other stuff. And so it's nice to know when I can play a character that I know my whole family will enjoy.
Absolutely, and something that possibly when they're a little older, because I know they're young right now, but your kids could possibly watch 1883 as well, and it not have to be censored.
Yeah, and so my daughter's 3 now. She got a hold of my fingers yesterday. She had caught me, many times on the show when my wife was watching it, and so now anytime she sees a cowboy on television, no matter what he looks like, white, black, whatever, it's Dada. Dada's on TV. Every time it's a cowboy, it's Dada.
What better person can you be than a cowboy?
I mean, that's exactly.
Well, everybody. We're supposed to start talking about the Bay. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers from season 1 through 6, you might want to tune in after you've binged it. I'm surprised if you haven't by now, though. You're part of the original cast of the Bay. Like I said, you're one of everyone's favorite character, Daniel Garrett. How did that come about? This job come about?
So I actually had just finished All My Children, and I was at the Daytime Emmys presenting, and Gregory Martin and Christos Andrews were there, and Gregory came over to me and he said, hey, I wanted you to know you were my favorite thing out of all of the new All My Children. You were phenomenal. You really were a standout. And he said, I've got this show I created that's also a digital drama called The Bay, and would love you if we'd love to have you on it if you're available. And I was like, well, and he said it shoots in LA. It's like, well, I'm living in New York, but the good news is All My Children just ended and I'm moving to LA next month. So how can I call you when I get there? And yeah, so we exchanged information, and I called him when I got to LA, and he told me all about the show, and he was open to creating a character together almost. He was creating it and taking the reins, but he's like, I want you to enjoy and play something maybe that elements of this character that maybe you haven't played before. And so he really kind of tailored Daniel to that, and really let me explore and have fun with the role. And I was on board right away. And as you all know, the cast and everybody from top to bottom is just, they're all iconic TV stars in their own right. And, to get to jump onto that and kind of the early stages, and to kind of get to ride the wave all throughout where we are now, it's just been, it's been a dream. And Gregory and Christos have become family to me at this point. And they're just, they are fighters, and I'm always blown away by what they can accomplish and what they get done and how they pull it all together. And now we're shooting internationally all over the world, and it's just been, it's been very cool.
Yes, I had Gregory on last week. Friday, actually, this past Fridays, and I'm telling you, he's a phenomenal guy, and he wasn't going to spoil season 7. So, I was talking about your character. He said, Daniel's there, and then not in the same breath, but later on he's like, but there's going to be some deaths too. It's like, come on. That's all he let me have. Because in the show, you bring the comedy, more of the lighter, you lighten things up, the situations, which is whatever show needs. What's it like for you to play a gay man on TV?
Well, originally, so it was interesting because when the character in the earlier seasons, we knew Daniel was a wild man. He was always, like you said, he's coming in, he's making people laugh. He's, it seemed almost like he was using his humor and actions and stuff to cover something up. And we come to find out that it's his sexuality, and he was raised very religious. And so when we see him first come out and he goes to church and he confesses to a priest, and, Daniel's just losing it. It was, how I won the Emmy, beautifully written scene, but I'm losing it to this priest, and he's, what's wrong? Just get it out. And I'm like, I'm a sinner. I know I'm a sinner. And he said, well, what's your sin? And I look at him and I tell him, well, I'm gay. And he looks at me and he just, well, what's your sin? Like in that one response, he like tells me everything I need to know, that's not right. And that has nothing to do with how God looks at you and all these other things. And it's just a beautiful turning point in Daniel's story. And when the storyline, once we got to explore that storyline and the amount of support and the fan base I gained from the LGBTQ community, it was just more than I ever could have imagined. And, to show somebody's struggle, no matter what it is, I was able to relate to him still so much, because although I might not have the same struggle, there have been a lot of things in my life I wasn't comfortable with, or wasn't brave enough to accept, or, parts of my personality that I just, didn't know how to embrace. And those are all things that Daniel's struggling with. So I was able to relate to him a lot more than I expected to, because it's, I'm not just solely looking at sexuality here. I'm really looking at the individual as a whole. And it's been so much fun getting to explore and really stretch myself as an actor, and getting to work alongside some powerhouse guys in the industry, Mike Manning and, Randy Wayne and so many others that my characters had relationships with. But, overall, I'm proud to, kind of be able to carry a storyline with so much depth and meaning.
Well, I would like to thank you and Gregory both for, I've got gay people in my family I love dearly. I would die for. And I saw them struggle, as a young person, like Daniel did. Because Daniel didn't only struggle with being gay, he was struggling with his soul going to hell during that story. I mean, that was one of the most prolific, profound, best moments that any young person growing up who is questioning themselves needs to see that.
I
It
agree.
just the writing, the acting was so phenomenal on
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for pointing that out. I do agree, and it just maybe shines a little more light on knowing that you're not alone, and so many people are struggling with just exactly what you're struggling with, or what somebody else might be struggling with, and to know that you're not alone, and to know that sometimes all it takes is 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 having that voice to understand how much support you actually do have, whether you know it or not. I didn't think I'd even have the support of my family, as Daniel on the show, and yet they were the ones that were the most supportive. If I would have just known that earlier and years ago, I would have avoided so much shit in my life.
Well,
But
personally, I think they need
no.
Daniel the same, but they need to make him a little more business wise.
Hmm.
Still be the smart ass Daniel that he is, but have that to vacuum. I
Yeah.
think that would be well if he survives. If he survives, I can't. Don't know. I'm going out of my mind. Uh, uh, you. Speaking of which, season 6 finale. You got married,
Yes.
and as I explained it to Gregory, in my mind, what that made me think of was the Moldova marriage and dynasty, which he said it kind of came from that because at the wedding there was assault on everybody. And now we know from the first episode yesterday where everybody is, but maybe three characters, and Daniel's one of them. I'm not gonna ask because I know you can't say, but I hope we find out today what happens to Daniel, and I hope it's nothing bad.
It's interesting, and of course, it's going to be gripping television because we see Daniel at the height of his happiness at the end of the last season, getting married to the love of his life. Life could not be better. And then all of a sudden, it's all flipped upside down in this upcoming season. And if you like drama and you like all of the stuff that comes with it, this could not be more on point and on brand. So it's intense, it's gripping, it's a lot of love, a lot of tears, a lot of it's gonna be good. I'm excited for the fans to see what's coming up. But of course, in Bay fashion, what goes up must come down, and we'll see how it can crawl its way back up or not.
For sure, for sure. Uh, yeah, I mean, did well. I'm not going to ask that one because I missed that. Do you have anything coming up that you could share with us? Not the Bay, but
Yeah, I've got a number of projects, couple of films I just finished filming, and I've got one I'm really looking forward to. It's called the Will Rogers Project, which they just announced publicly that I'm involved with, and I'm doing that with Brian Kelly of Florida Georgia Line, and it will be the first scripted life story of Will Rogers, and it's going to be incredible. And having built such a great fan base in the Western genre and in the South, this one's gonna bring it home. And I'm really really excited about it. That's can't really talk much else about it, but I will say, truly one of the most fascinating men to ever walk the planet, and not enough people know all the facets of his life, and so it's time.
well, your company is helping to produce it. Your production company's
That's
putting
right.
it out. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Once finished 1883, and I saw what a magical experience it was to shoot in Texas, and the support not only from the state but from the city of Fort Worth, and um, and the people were just so supportive. I was like, okay, this was a home run. I have to film something else here. We need another. I want to see more film and TV happening in the South, and I've been thinking about projects to do that will help propel this movement that is happening here. And I was like, wow, what better way to do that than to tell the story of the man who I can't go anywhere around here without seeing his name at the Coliseum or the airport or the highway. Everything is Will Rogers. Jonathan Brownlee, director, writer, producer out of Dallas, approached me saying if I'd be interested in doing a Will Rogers project, that they have made connection with the family, and we're looking to seal the rights to it. And with someone like you on board, we could maybe really make this thing come to life. And I didn't even blink a second, and I said yes, all in. Took a year and just focused on everything we had to do to make this happen, and here we are, about to go into full swing mode on it. And we've got so much. Will Rogers was from Oklahoma, and part of the Cherokee Nation, and we've got the Cherokee Nation involved helping with this as well. And so we're really getting it from all ends, and we want to do this story justice, and it deserves it, and I'm very, very excited about it.
I can't wait. It sounds phenomenal. Well, I'm going to put this out in the universe, this question, but it's more for ABC.
Okay.
Would you do Dancing with the Stars?
Yes.
If anybody's listening, come on.
I would. I grew up as a dancer, and I haven't danced since, and I danced on Broadway, when I was a teenager, but I haven't since. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, gosh, that would be so fun. So yes, if anyone is out there, please let me know, because that would be a blast.
I can't say anything. I've never asked that question. I haven't watched Dancing with the Stars in a long time. I don't know where that question came from in my head today, but it was like, ask. So I don't know if it's a sign. It might be. Never know.
I'm glad you did. And it is kind of ironic. I was just thinking about it the other day. But yes, don't even have to hesitate on that one.
Well, in 2018, you won Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Digital Daytime Drama Series for your work on The Bay. As a producer, you won 3 Daytime Emmys for your work producing The Bay. And you hold the world record for the youngest Emmy Award-winning producer in television history at age 23. How does that feel?
It was when you say it like that, it feels great. When I was nominated for my first Emmy when I was 23, I didn't even know that there was a record even possible. I had no idea. Even then, when I won the Emmy, I still didn't know. It wasn't until a few months later that some press outlet got a hold of me, and they're like, how does it feel to be? And I was like, wait, to be what? And they were like, youngest Emmy winning producer ever. I was like, hold on one second, mute. Wow, it's random cool fact that I have this title, but yeah, it still holds today, and very cool. It was not expected. Grateful, of course, for all of it, and it's nice to be recognized and to be honored for your work. But at the end of the day, there's also still so many deserving people, and I don't take a second of this for granted, and I just want to keep trudging forward, putting out good work, and fighting my hardest, because I know there's 1,000,001 other people fighting and working just as hard. So gotta
as if you couldn't like Eric anymore or be a bigger fan of his, you and your wife Sandy Nelsen won the 2021 Tony Award for Best Play for The Inheritance. What's that like? I mean, you're on your way to get the EGOT.
Yeah, guess I'm halfway, which is just wild to think about. Theater is what brought me into this industry in the first place, and so that always will have my heart, and was my first true love in the arts. And I had been fortunate enough to perform on Broadway as an actor when I was a teenager, and I knew that one day, once I got into producing, I knew that one day I wanted to, give back, so to speak, to the Broadway community, and produce something that would, give a bunch of jobs to people and, hopefully make a huge impact in the theater community. And when the inheritance came up, which is an unbelievably powerful play, it went to London and won the Laurence Olivier Award. And then, it was rumored to want to come to Broadway. And I was like, this is it. This is it. I've read the script, all 700 pages of it. It's a very long, lengthy play, but it's one of those masterpieces. It's like an epic. You sit through it in two different performances to experience the whole thing. And I just knew, I was like, I have to be involved with this if I can. And it just worked out. And to get to do it with my wife was, a dream come true. And it takes a huge team of people to do a play on Broadway. So, we were just a piece of the puzzle, but so grateful to have been. And it really was a life-changing experience and beautiful piece of work. And, the Tony was the cherry on top of the cake. So very grateful for it.
Well, if anybody doesn't know, you're married to a gorgeous Sadie Nelson since 2013, and you have now 2 beautiful children. Are you going to encourage them to act?
My daughter's already kind of showing some signs of wanting to do it. She's 3 now, so she's getting to the age where she understands, because my wife's a voiceover actress. She does cartoon animation, and one of her favorite shows she watches, my wife's the lead of, and she gets it now that, mommy's the character on TV. And, she knows that, when I leave for a month filming a movie, she's kind of starting to understand what that means. And I've brought her on set. And so if that's something that she shows, passion for and continued passion for, 100%, I'd love her, because I know, and I've been there, and I know how to protect her. I know how to help her with this industry. I know what's going to hurt, what's not going to hurt. So if it is something she or he wants to do, I think they'll have a little leg up. Just, that my parents were not in the industry, and, I was finding everything out on my own and how to do it. And, I would love to be able to hand off my knowledge to somebody else, to give them a little bit of a head start, maybe that they wouldn't have otherwise had. And she's a little personality. She she can do any emotion on cue. She loves to we'll be like, all right, now show us you're very sad, and we'll give her a little scenario, and she'll kind of do her head and play out a little scene, and it's really cute. So maybe she's just gonna play along with our antics, but maybe it'll be something. We'll see.
I love that. And speaking of Saint T, I would like to have her on the show sometime, by the way. I love a lot of her shows she's doing the voiceover on. I'd send her a letter.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she would love that.
Well, we're getting close to the end. Everyone, remember, you can now find seasons 1 through 6 of The Bay on the Peacock Network and other platforms. Don't miss today's episode at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Pacific, with an encore presentation at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Only on Popstar. And if you miss the Popstar, you will be able to binge it again on Tubi and Peacock in 2023. Eric, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate it. I had a great time chatting with you.
If you could hang on to the backstage for just a moment, I'll be right back there.
Okay.
Thanks. I'd like to thank Eric Nelsen for being here today. I would like to thank the Necrotizing Fasciitis Foundation for sponsoring our show. For more information on necrotizing fasciitis, please visit www.necfash.org. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more upcoming episodes. Please be kind to one another, and until next time, have a great day.